Hello again, and welcome back to the Slow Flowers podcast with Deborah Prinzing, episode 560. This is the weekly podcast about slow flowers and the people who grow and design with them. It's all about making a conscious choice, and I invite you to join the conversation and the creative community as we discuss the vital topics of saving our domestic flower farms and supporting a floral industry that relies on a safe, seasonal, and local supply of flowers and foliage. This show is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to more than 850 shops, florists, and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. And thank you to our lead sponsor, Farm Girl Flowers. Farm Girl Flowers delivers iconic burlap wrap bouquets and lush, abundant arrangements to customers across the U.S., supporting U.S. flower farms by purchasing more than $10 million of U.S.-grown, fresh and seasonal flowers and foliage annually. Discover more at farmgirlflowers.com. And thank you to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high-quality flower bulbs and perennials. Their online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at Longfield Gardens. That's longfield-gardens.com. If you're a regular listener or viewer of the Slow Flowers vodcast and podcast, you're familiar with my sponsor thanks, like the ones you just heard me say. In order to produce our content and share it freely, our relationships with sponsors are very important to us. For the past year, you've probably heard me mention flowerfarm.com, a leading wholesale floral distributor that sources from and supplies farm direct blooms. When we signed on flowerfarm.com as a major sponsor of the Slow Flower Society, I asked if they would add a search tool on their homepage that would allow florists and other customers to easily find U.S.-grown flowers. Miraculously, they created a large feature on their homepage in response, which helps users find flowers and foliage from places like California, Florida, Oregon, and Washington by using the origin selection tool in their search. In talking with the team at flowerfarm.com, we came up with a fun project to showcase today. They recently shipped me a mixed box of blooms and foliage so I could experience the process of receiving flowers myself. You'll hear my initial conversation with flowerfarm.com's floral specialist, Michaela Newheart, as we discuss how the site works. And that will be followed by a part 2 conversation with Michaela as we talk about flower processing. My favorite part at the end was getting to arrange with this surprise selection of flowers she sent. Let's jump right in and get started and meet Michaela Newheart. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show with Deborah Prinzing. And today I'm so excited to talk about flowers with Michaela Newheart of flowerfarm.com. Hi, Michaela.
Hi, Deborah.
Hey, thanks for sending me flowers. We're going to show everybody a little an opening and talk about flowers in the next part of this interview. But I want to start by just telling people what flowerfarm.com is. You've been a super friendly and supportive partner of Slow Flowers in the past year. And I just wanted to take a chance to put some faces and flowers behind the brand name. So give us a snapshot of what flowerfarm.com is.
Mm-hmm. So we are a wholesaler. People can order from us and get flowers delivered direct to their home. In most cases, if you leave enough time, the flowers are being harvested at the farm just before shipping to you. So not only it's convenient for you because it comes right to your home, you get to select what you want from farms all over the U.S. We have Florida, California, Pacific Northwest, Midwest, and also we have farms in other countries. So there's wide selection of things, and you're getting things as fresh can be.
Mm-hmm. I think I described you as a sort of a virtual wholesaler. Like You don't need a physical location because you're sourcing from so many different farms, but they're not going to a a building and sitting there and waiting for
Right.
me to come in and shop.
Mm-hmm.
You're saving some days in that regard as well, in terms of maybe just additional freshness.
Correct. Right.
Wow. So who is your customer base? You talked about shipping to the home, but you also are shipping to floral businesses, right?
Right. So florists are a big part of our customer base. Also designers who focus specifically on events, maybe don't necessarily have a shop or kind of daily arrangements that they make. Some nonprofits are our customers, companies, large companies. It's really quite the gamut. People who are interested in flowers and just want to do their own. So it's really wide variety of people.
Wow. Let's do this. Let's look at the website, and that will probably answer all the questions. I've got it here for us to look at together. I just think it's, obviously a very inviting user interface, because you come here. The first thing you look at is shopping wholesale flowers, but if you scroll down, here's the masterclass that we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. And then bulk flowers, more information about farm direct. And then I'm particularly excited about the flowers grown in the USA button that you have here on the homepage. We'll look at that in a minute. And then lots of information about what you specialize in, and what, maybe some frequently asked questions.
Fun fact that I like to tell people is all of the pictures that you see on the website are flowers from our farms, and we actually took those pictures.
Wow. So love it. Yeah, it's not stock photography, in other words.
Exactly. Right.
So also I wanted to point out this simple contact us button means people are going to get in touch with you. That's kind of a face and a name. So one of the things you said that you wanted to show me is how to order collections. So I'm going to click on the Shop Now button, and when you click on it, you get this scroll down, all the ways you can search. So by color palette, by specific flower, and then by origin. And you see here we've got California, Florida, Miami, Oregon. I think there's probably a few more that just fall under United States. But you said that there's a button called Combo Box. So let's click on that. Wow, this is amazing.
We put these together with florists in mind, so that you could get a smaller number of flowers and a wider variety. We can also we can't anticipate everyone's need. So we also have the ability to make custom combination boxes up for people. If you do the contact us and get in touch with me and tell me what you're looking for, I send a quote to the farm sends me back pricing, and we can do that for you. So the other thing we can do too is not everything that's grown and available is necessarily listed on the website. So sometimes people are looking for something very specific. And if you don't see it on the website listed, it does not necessarily mean that we don't have it and we can't get it for you.
Sure. So you're really interacting with florists all day long, trying to troubleshoot their specific wish list.
Right.
So I clicked on Combo Box and I clicked on United States, and the mixes came up here. Most of them are foliage driven, but I feel like that's sort of the bread and butter of a lot of, everyday florists, wedding and event florists. A lot of times, I know for myself, I can cut a lot of flowers out of my garden, but I don't necessarily always have the greenery I need to complement those. So this would be kind of a fun way to mix and match. I liked this one, Victoria's Favorite. I clicked on that. So here we see what's in that combo box, and down to the number of bunches of each variety. And then what else is information that people need to know? When do you need it, I guess, right?
Right. You'll always... Oftentimes there might be many choices, or even just this one, for example. Mm-hmm. You see a pack size, meaning in this case, it's saying 18 bunches and how much per bunch. It's not really live pricing until you select the date that you want. Okay. That sort of serves as a placeholder.
Okay.
So people will always want to do step one first, and then that's going to give you the pricing that's accurate for when you want them.
Oh, because sometimes if it's a really urgent need, you're going to pay a higher, like a rush fee or something like that. Or is it more just availability?
It's more that over time, and it's not so much with the greens, but with some things, there might be many, many different pack sizes. Do sunflowers. Okay. This will be a good category, a good example.
Oh, yeah, because there's so many choices.
There's many choices. So let's just pick yellow sunflowers, the bottom one, last one. So see, there's a bazillion choices there, right? And prices. There's Colombia, Ecuador, USA. So don't count on this being accurate. So that's just like a historical record. So pick a delivery date at the top.
Oh, I see. So start here.
Exactly.
So I'll pick the 28th. And then I get a choice of, and I didn't even specify US, but it's offering me.
That's what's available for delivery on Saturday.
Oh, that's why. Okay, great. So
that's because there isn't sufficient time on Friday today for something to come. Oh, that's a little further out. In any case.
Let's try the 27th. There I get a choice, maybe some, but with the Ecuador choice, I'm getting 100 stems and the unit price is $1.53. So you really have, you're getting a different, a much different product than if you want 20 bunches, which are going to be at $8.54 a bunch. Maybe it's different. It's apples and oranges because that's a stem and this is a bunch. All right, I'd have to do the math, but it's really helpful because I put in a Friday date. Say I want to get one box of 20 bunches, and then total delivered price. So is the shipping already calculated into it?
All good question. We didn't even talk about that before. No. All of our pricing is delivered pricing.
That's so helpful for people.
We made a conscious decision to do that because then you can really compare with other sources. If you go to your local wholesaler and you're paying $10 a bunch, but if you shop online and it's $7.50 a bunch, but you have to pay $85 for shipping, it's very difficult to understand what you're actually paying per stem. So
that's interesting. Okay. Well, I like that feature a lot. I also noticed there was, when I was looking at the greenery, maybe I'll go back to that. And it seemed like there was a choice of save for later. Is that just like if you're building a recipe or you're wanting to kind of...
You don't necessarily want to put it in your cart right now.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can also purchase greens if you go to shop now again, and then alphabetical under G is greens. It's the third column over. That's going to show you any flower or foliage that's green, but in the by flower section.
Oh, I see.
Go to greens.
Oh, that's green color. This is green foliage. Okay.
Right. So then you'll see them individually. And there'll be more things included here than there are necessarily in the combo boxes. There might not be one of those items in the combo boxes.
Here's that willow green eucalyptus that you sent me. So I know it came from California. And then there's a couple different photos as well here.
Right. Shows you what the bunch looks like. So you have a perception of how much a bunch is. And then usually an aerial view and then a side stem view.
Very cool. Excellent. Let's look at Larkspur. Maybe that will be another one. Okay, so you can get the large combo box, or you can get just an individual. Oh, I like the fact that you use vintage flower frogs for these photos. Did you work on those?
Amy did all those things for us. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, oops. So let me back up. These, for whatever reason, these are saying Ecuador, but I know you had some from California in your bunch.
Yes. Select a date and we might get California.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. It's a good tool. It's a very easy to use tool. I'm just, not in the daily business of ordering flowers like a lot of florists are, and I'm finding it very easy to navigate. So imagine how useful it will be for someone who's got to do this every day. Mm-hmm. This is the products of the US. So this is another thing you can do is just go in and peruse what's offered and then start using it in planning for either recipes or events or just for an everyday mix.
The other sort of inside knowledge that I'm going to share with you is that if something's listed as the origin is within the US, anything that's domestic, we always ship priority overnight.
Okay.
We just do. So then you could know that all of those things are going to be available next day. Mm-hmm. Now you need to place the order. Technically, it's somewhere around, if you place it by noon Central, you're definitely going to be safe. You might be able to do 1 or 1:30 Central because the different farm locations have different deadlines. But basically, if you place your order mid-morning, then you can get it delivered the next day. So that's helpful. If you've got something like, oh my goodness, I have to throw a party for someone
tomorrow.
What can I get tomorrow? All those things you'll be able to get tomorrow. So you can look sort of through different windows, whether you want to think about color palette first or when you can get it or where it's coming from. I find it real easy and kind of user-friendly.
Also, I see up here that I have a 1 in my bucket. So this must be my cart. Oh, when I added the sunflowers. Right. So then you just basically would get your whole order totaled out. And
that's right.
Very fun. Well,
another thing that I'll say that's really helpful, it takes all of like a minute and a half to open an account. Mm-hmm. As opposed to checking out as a guest. And if you open an account, then you'll have an order history. And in the order history it's useful. It's just useful rather than having to look back through emails at email order confirmations. If you check out as a guest, you don't have access to seeing a history of your orders. So I encourage people to do that.
So would I click on account information here?
Hover over sign in up at the top.
Oh, okay. And then, I guess I already have an account. Now everyone knows my login. But I think I've just created an account so I could poke around in here. I haven't used the ordering tool, so this is really helpful. Well, thank you so much for walking us through that. And I guess let's see if there's anything else you want to show before. This is the information about the Maurice Harris floral arranging class on masterclass, which we're going to talk about in the second half of this interview. So we'll just point out that we'll learn more on that. Are these just more kind of ways for people or just some more background information for people to learn about the farms and learn about the shipping information?
The other thing that I'd like to share is sometimes, when you're trying out anything new and you don't know the people, it can be, and, not everything is as it seems sometimes in our world. People can be a little concerned about ordering with us. But what I like people to know is that we will always guarantee the quality. So it is a perishable product. Almost everything comes in lovely condition. If it's winter and you live in Montana and it's minus 14 degrees on the day, some things might get damaged, some things might not. So if for any reason someone receives anything damaged, I just ask that they take pictures, send them to me, and we'll refund you. So then that way people can kind of relax into ordering, knowing there's some safety net for them.
That's really nice. And I think it's just the nature of our lives right now that there's always going to be problems with shipping, with supply chain. And, even knowing that there's some, guarantee is, if you handle the product correctly, then that feels good. I was just poking around on that collection here of a whole wedding in a box, basically. Yeah. That's kind of, do people order that very often?
Yeah. Last year, we just kind of took on the challenge to have something like this for either. And it was really in response to the things that were happening as a result of sort of the whole shift in the way we live that, florists for a while weren't able to be open. Then they opened with restrictions. It's still current today that many florists and many businesses are having a hard time getting employees, Yeah. And so I just recently had someone who's a florist order these because they're short on labor. So then they can,
oh, wow.
How they come, and they're very beautifully done. I've seen them in person myself. They come all with a zip tie around them, and you just need to cut the stems off and put them in a vase that you purchase. So whether you want it in a tall vase or a short vase.
I think that's a really good point. It's like, for the budget conscious wedding, you can quote them all the pieces they want and just place this order. It doesn't seem like people can specify a palette or anything. It's just one collection, but
there's 3 different color choices.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. There's sort of a red one, a white one, and a pink one.
Oh, did I miss that?
Not a ton of.
Oh, wedding. I don't think I was looking at wedding collection. Oh, here we go. That's fabulous.
Yeah. The other thing that I would like to mention, because we're all, as living in our lives, we experience a little bit of a challenge with, maybe things you order online come later than they used to, or things like that. I'm also getting a lot of people will call me saying, I had something ordered. My wholesaler was supposed to have it in and they don't have it. And so one of the ways I think we've just been very fortunate is because we have a very broad base of partners. And so, for example, and the good news, the end result is that we're having very, very few situations where someone orders something and we can't get it to them. Because
you usually have another choice of where to go.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have kind of a background process that goes on where if we order it and it's coming from one farm location and for some reason, whether it's the weather is an influence or it's not ready to harvest, then we have 2 or 3 other choices that have the same thing and we can still get it to the customer on time. So
that's great. Yeah. It's not, you've got a global network. So
exactly.
That is the buying power that an individual florist won't necessarily be able to have. This has been a great introduction to flowerfarm.com. And next we're going to pivot to a separate video that we recorded today showing off how to process flowers and some of the tips on what harvest stage you need to think about and when you order. And I got to play with some flowers that Michaela sent to me from through flowerfarm.com. So we'll bounce over to that next. Well, hello. Today, I am so excited to talk about flowers with Michaela Newheart. And Michaela is a flower specialist at flowerfarm.com. And we're going to do a little show and tell of flowers that she sent me. And I see you have flowers with you, Michaela. Thanks so much for flowering your setting.
Oh, it's nice to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about shipping flowers and how to get your hands on flowers from farms all around the country. And that's part of flowerfarm.com's focus. When you go to the website, you can select by country or shop by country of origin or state, and of course, by other variables too. So what are the variables that people tend to use when they're shopping at flowerfarm.com?
People can either shop by color. That's really helpful for people if they are having an event or something and they know general colors they want, and then they can see what we have available. Or you can shop by specific flower or by specific origin. So 3 ways.
Yeah. And the company is set up to basically like a virtual wholesaler, right? I mean, your customer is are mainly florists. Is that correct?
We have a super broad base. So certainly florists. We also have designers who do events. We have some companies, maybe large companies that have stylists on their payroll that are doing grand openings or things like that. Nonprofits. It's a pretty broad range of people. Wow.
And it seems like the ability to order in quantity and, that is a benefit. And also just the convenience of shopping online for somebody who might not have a large wholesaler near them.
Right. Also, too, maybe your local wholesaler might have a certain collection of things, but because we're have so many farm partners, pretty much the world is your flower oyster. People are able to get virtually anything because we have so many farm locations.
Wow. So you're basically acting as a buying agent for the flower customer.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow. Well, when people order, what do they I received an order 2 days ago. So I have a little video. People will have just watched it of how I opened the box. It was packed beautifully, and everything was varieties were individually bunched. Some varieties were maybe with shorter stems, like the Godetia and the anemones were wrapped in like a paper collar. And so what is the typical bunch, like stem count per bunch, or does it vary by variety?
By and large, 10 stems is you could pretty much consistently count on, although there are some exceptions, like, for example, greens, things like this, or things that are very branchy, like this bupleurum. You can have one stem that's like this and one stem that's like this. So often with those kinds of things, the farms will weigh them. Then that way people are getting consistent amount each time. But by and large, 10 you can pretty count on. And I also tell people that customers, if you have specific questions, if you're having a party or whatever, and you want these 5 things, email me and I'll assure you, I'll tell you exactly how many stems per bunch.
Wow. So you're actually available through customer service to really help an individual buyer figure out what they need.
Right. The contact us actually goes to a person who is me.
Right. So, that's, in the world of like computer generated bots, I think it's really nice to talk to a human, and even someone who tells you their name. I know that the stem lengths were exceedingly long when I opened the box. Like, I felt bad cutting things down, but I guess that's just sort of a standard practice in the industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it gives the florist choice, who, maybe have people who have larger pieces that they're doing,
right,
can take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Some flowers will have a designation of, on each of the flowers, there's a grade column, and sometimes it's not specified, but sometimes it is. Mm-hmm. So for example, ranunculus can be on the shorter side. It will sometimes say 30 to 40 centimeters or 40 or 50. Roses will often say 40, 50, or 60. So sometimes if people know they're going to cut the stem all the way off, they're not going to bother to spend the extra money for the longer one when they're going to cut stem off of the shorter one anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then the stage of harvest, also, it seemed like, for example, I'm just going to pull this out of my arrangement. The irises were beautiful, and they were completely closed. When I got them, they looked like this. And I knew that they were going to have to process a little bit, but they were in my garage for 48 hours and they still hadn't opened. So last night I brought them in the house, and a few of them opened so beautifully in just the warmth of my home. Right. But I wouldn't have wanted them shipped like this. So I appreciate that. And I think that just takes some experimentation. A professional florist will know to order a few days ahead of time, right?
Right.
And even things like, of course, it's still cool here in Seattle. It has barely gotten to 60, but like these Godetia are starting to open. But this is a perfect stage for designing with, because then they'll open further, and I'll enjoy longer vase life. Do you have some examples that you want to show of the stage that you're processing?
Sure. So this is cornflower, and some.
Oh yeah.
Some came with really full blooms, and then there were other individual stems that are still really buddish. It's interesting. It depends on the user as to what they want. So if you're a retail florist and you're going to make a design and send it out to someone, it's really nice to have the things pretty significantly still closed, because then when it's in the home of the person, they get many days and blooming.
Right.
If it's a wedding designer, they want their stuff at peak bloomage on that day. So they'll tend to order things for delivery 2 or 3 days sooner than a retail florist would. So it kind of depends on what you're going to use it for.
And I'm I've ordered from a number of online e-commerce flower companies, and it's probably the same issue. You really can't get a Monday delivery, right? You have to, the earliest in the week you could get it be a Tuesday, or are you able through flowerfarm.com to deliver 7 days a week?
Right now, we on Mother's Day week and Valentine's week, we do have Monday delivery, and we're in really active talks about getting Monday delivery all the time because it's much more beneficial to the florist to get it on Monday as opposed to wait till Tuesday. So stay tuned. It's something that we're really actively working on.
Sunday, so that's really an issue then.
Yes. Yeah. Sunday doesn't work because the carrier that we use currently is UPS, and they just don't deliver on Sunday. So,
but right they do now, on Saturdays, right?
Yeah. We're Tuesday through Saturday, and hopefully very soon we'll be Monday through Saturday.
Okay, well, that's something to I guess be sure to ask, and usually the site seems very interactive, so people can see what the available delivery windows are for them as well. Okay, so you were going to show me a few of the processing tips that you usually like to cover with people, and then I'll pull my flowers in and show you what I've been working on.
Oh, good. Okay. So I thought it would be sometimes, especially if someone's not a floral professional and they're newer, they have a picture in their mind of what they're going to get. And then if they get something right from the farm, it doesn't match their picture. So this, for example, is a piece of alstroemeria after I've cleaned it up some.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
This is a piece of alstroemeria as it came out of the box.
Right.
So tell me what the best view is. I
feel like you did a lot of editing of the greenery and some of the side buds to make it cleaner, but not so. It's like the flowers aren't competing with the leaves on the one you're writing on.
You want to leave showing what's helpful to you. So you just take things off. You have to, with alstroemeria specifically, you have to pull the leaves a little bit gently because sometimes they're a little attached.
I have some very fine, almost like embroidery scissors that I use sometimes to go in and clip things away for that reason.
And sometimes there's little casualties of the transport. So you just take it off and it's good to go. And now you're really able to focus on the flower and not a bunch of mangy greenery that's not helpful to you.
Yeah. And I think just giving yourself permission to edit a little bit is, it's going to influence how the design looks. If it's a little bit more open and airy and not so much a dense ball of yellow.
This is cornflower, sort of not real. This is fresh out of the box.
Right.
And this is with some trimming. So same thing, give yourself permission to take stuff off. Here's another example too, like this one, the head was just broken off. So it's a stem with nothing. It's not going to help.
So it's just going to clutter up the arrangement.
Yeah. People will also, sometimes if there's like one little brown leaf on there, they go, oh, give me a refund. I want the whole box back. No, you just take the brown leaf off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, nobody wants to waste, but you don't want to have damaged material. Like I was cutting some eucalyptus to put in the arrangement. First of all, the eucalyptus was fantastic. I don't know which variety it is. It's this sort of almost like a willow leaf.
It's exactly that. It's called willow euc. Yes.
Okay. But see, you can even see there is a little munching going on.
Right.
So I just trimmed. I mean, it's not all over the plant. It was just one little tip. So that was very easy to just clean up and make the arrangement look a little bit prettier. Right. Although I don't really have a problem with bug bites in general, but that's just that's nature, right? You just have to expect that.
Exactly. I mean, they grow outdoors. So I want to show you specifically, and this demonstrates a point that's true for lots of flowers. So whenever you put something in water, so say the water level's up to here, anything so when the stems are in water, they're in sort of a decomposition process because plants are organic and there's water and warmth and it starts to rot. So you want to take any extra leaf off that's going to be under the water. But also with this in particular, this is status. It has this sort of like little wingy stuff.
I've always wondered if there was some way to treat that.
Yeah. Knife. you just gently, you can shave it right off, and that will make your water stay clearer, because it just gets murky quickly if there's organic stuff in the water that's decomposing.
That is such a good technique. It's so interesting because you're right. Statice in general has that extra herbaceous material. And I always look at the bouquets that are at the Pike Place Market that a lot of the farmers that are there bring in statice or use statice because it lasts quite a while. But
it's great.
The bottoms are so slimy, and that's because they're not processing it correctly.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just little things you can do that make the overall last and visual so much nicer. And then here's
it's interesting that we both got a box for this recording, but we didn't get the same things. So I'm curious to see what else you have.
Oh yeah. This is called bunny tail. It's a sort of a type of grass. It's very
fabulous,
fun with some texture. As I said, this is cornflower. This is yarrow. And it's kind of right now, there are a couple trends that are happening. One is sort of like barn scene wedding. This is super popular. Or country. So things like this.
You're seeing a lot of orders come through for.
Yes. Yeah. Also things that are super abundant in greenery. It's interesting where in the 80s or 90s, it was this really dense, poofy flower stuff. And people are much more interested now in foliage.
Right.
This is some Magnolia Greens. And I
smiled my goodness.
Because when I got my, I don't know if you can see, but there are a few buds right here. Would be a magnolia flower. And right here also.
Oh, they're so glossy. That's beautiful. I love that. And that's also very long lasting in terms of, it almost can dry in its own, in the same state.
Absolutely.
Stage,
really well. Statice is another great thing. Dries well. Baby blue eucalyptus, the real columnar, long kind, dries great.
You started to show me something to your right, and I interrupted you. So what else do you have over there?
This is called Acacia feather fern, a really nice kind of beautiful greenery. This is lovely for arches or when people do big installation things.
It's a tree, isn't it?
It's really, the stems are quite thick on the bottom.
So you can break down a stem too and get, kind of resize it and get smaller lengths if you need it.
Absolutely. And this is something that I did on purpose to show. So there's something about processing. I broke my own rule, but normally when you get things from the farm, you want to unwrap things, take as much of the extra greenery off as you can, because it takes the energy of the plant to fill up and hydrate all those things. And if you're not going to use them later, why waste the energy of the plant?
That's smart. I should have done that with the Ami, because it needed to be hydrated, but if I had cleaned it, it would have taken up the water faster.
Right. So little things like this, if people are doing weddings, boutonnieres, or if you're doing like little mason jar vases, it's probably not going to, well, you can see right here, it doesn't really benefit the look of this to have all this riffraff going on in the bottom here.
Yeah.
But these are wonderful texture things. So you just cut them off and stick them in a littler vase, and you will find fantastic fun things to do with it for sure.
Yeah. Well, what you said about texture, that's a perfect example for a ingredient in a boutonniere or a wrist corsage or a flower crown or something like that. I feel bad throwing anything away unless it's just a dead stem. I want to try to salvage every pretty part that's possible. So that's something I've learned from a lot of florists too, is how to break down, like for example, the tall greenery I had. I think it's myrtle. Let me show it to you. Is this myrtle?
It is, yes.
Okay. So, because it doesn't grow here in the Pacific Northwest, so it's probably out of California. But I feel like, there's this lower multi-branching section, and then this middle one, and then this top one. So there's just a lot of
Right.
dimension that I could break down, and I did for my smaller arrangement. I'll show you, versus just sticking this one tall guy in a tall vase.
Right. And then I have some Larkspur in here, which I do want to show you just a processing thing about that too. So this is out of the box.
Okay.
And this is when you do something with it. So
right.
And even if you couldn't see this, if it's in a whole big arrangement, it's using up the water in the vase to keep that hydrated. If it's below the water level, it's going to make the water murky as all get out. So
absolutely.
You can cut these little guys off for boutonnieres. Save them.
They have that like a little asparagus fern kind of texture, don't they?
Yes, I love that about it. So, and you can leave a little, but not so much that it's like too much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're giving it a little hairstyle, a little grooming.
Exactly, a little trim. Yeah. And this is called Buplurum. It's a really
I love that.
Lovely. It's just nice. It provides a beautiful kind of delicate drape. So
I love Buplurum, and it's sort of that. It's like as a gardener, I look at it like a lady's mantle. It's something that both the foliage and the flower are green, and they can be used they're very versatile in that regard. In fact, the arrangement that I want to do in my lime green vase, I was thinking, I'll just go cut some lady's mantle and add to it, because it's not in bloom yet, but that acid eye burning green foliage that will complement what I've done. So I'll show you that.
Oh, and this was the last thing. This is fun. Can you guess? Do you have any idea what this is?
Wait, so that can be ordered on flowerfarm.com?
Yes.
It's some kind of vine, but I have no idea.
It's kiwi vine.
Oh, right. Now, so what do you do with that? Is that one stem?
No, this is a bunch. This is a whole bunch. So,
okay. So it's not dried. That's just got that dark.
No, it is dried.
Oh, okay.
Well, by nature, I think the vine, like even when things grow and the fruit comes off them, the vine is a little bit hardened.
Yes, I think you're right.
These are great for like in a hotel lobby or outside an event, or people who have really large homes and they just like big urns, because this is permanent. This is people will often use a very vertical thing like this as a spray sort of thing in the center.
Right. I feel like it's sort of a more delicate option to grapevine, but it has that same tangled, wild vibe.
Yeah.
And that's probably coming out of California then too, right? Everything
that you and I received came from our farm that's sort of in the Monterey Bay area in California.
Okay, great. Some of it I'm very familiar with and can find here in the Pacific Northwest. But I guess I feel like what you're trying to offer people, you're trying to solve some problems. And you mentioned a few of those in terms of quantities, but also you sometimes can fulfill a large order from multiple growers, but through the customer is still just making one order, right?
Correct. Right. They can order things for different delivery. You can go online and say, well, I'd like some peonies next Thursday. I'd like some alstroemeria the following Tuesday. And from your perspective, you just order what you want, like a shopping list. And then what will happen is the orders get broken down into regions. So if something's coming from California and something else is coming from Florida and something else is coming from the specific Northwest, then it gets broken into 3 different orders.
Shipments or whatever. Yeah. But you're just checking out and paying once.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. When flowerfarm.com wanted to work with slow flowers, I just said out loud what I wished, and you guys made it happen, which was, I'd love it to be evident to the shopper on the homepage that they can find American grown flowers, and then they can dig deeper and actually order see where things are coming from in terms of you're not naming the farm, but the state, where it's grown. And I think I'm all about transparency. And I think that's just going to educate florists and also their customers who might want to know. So I know you've got another cool project I want to ask you about, and that is the masterclass that Maurice Harris is teaching. Maurice Harris, celebrity judge of In Full Bloom on HBO. So tell me how that came together.
Well, this is a little full circle. So like I was saying, if you just do the contact us, it comes into my email and I respond. Well, someone who works with Masterclass sent something to the contact us, and I responded, and we started a conversation that turned into this really beautiful partnership that was very fun. I was familiar with Masterclass myself from having been on LinkedIn, and they're quite visible on LinkedIn, and they have video
so
classes.
Many topics.
Right. And so it was really, really creatively exciting. We curated several different boxes. Well, it was the first floral design series that they did, and they asked us to be their sort of preferred vendor. And he has 4 component pieces in that one. So we curated 4 different types of boxes. And then within that, there were a few choices, and back and forth. Maurice actually approved the boxes. So yeah, and now people today can go on Flower Farm and see a masterclass link with the specific boxes. And people, non-masterclass participants are also able to buy those if they'd like.
Okay. And do you buy them through flowerfarm.com or through Masterclass?
Correct.
Okay. Well, what I think is kind of cool is that type of platform for teaching is reaching people who probably would never before know how to buy flowers, or
right.
Maybe they know that their grocery store has them, but he's teaching design techniques. And so instantly someone can just order the flowers that go with that module and design along with him.
Right.
That's awesome. And of course, the fact that, that show is so popular and there's been 2 seasons, they're gaining a lot of new flower fans who just love watching, competition shows or whatever.
Right.
That's great. I love that. And that's very much consumer direct. I mean, those boxes are probably smaller than, or are they? Are they smaller in terms of ingredients than what you sent me? Or
some are and some aren't. So just for a little detail, their first module is just roses. So we made a box of 50 roses, which is typically smaller than we'd send to a retailer, but
it's still a good amount.
Right. And then the largest module, they get a box, something like we got. So it comes from all one place, one bunch of several different things.
Right. Very fun. Well, can I show you what I designed? And
please do. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's. I'm going to move the camera. This is one of my favorite centerpieces for a long dining table, and it's just a wooden box. It was actually made by the son of Chet and Christy Anderson, who are flower farmers at the Fresh Herb Company in Boulder, Colorado. And what is so cool about it is you basically can fit 4 jam jars inside.
Oh, that's cool.
Or 4 like small mason jars. But, it hides the vase. You don't want to see the vase. You want the box to be the kind of presentation. And then this is a situation. I told you about the irises, and look, they're even just since I started this morning, they're opening more. I broke down the myrtle, as I mentioned, and I started with the myrtle, and then I added the irises, and then the delphinium were, like you were saying, sometimes things shatter. They were a little bit shattered. So I just wanted the blue texture. So I broke down just the tips of all the delphiniums that you see in here. And then I'm like, okay, what else? So then you have this fabulous Dusty Miller. And I have to say, it's such fresh, plump, really, really healthy and, kind of the best of the best Dusty Miller. And it did hydrate really well. I've had it in water for 2 days. So I broke those down. And then I thought I was done, but then I thought it needs one more thing. And that's where I started poking all the eucalyptus in. So this is like the perfect thing that no one's going to be blocked on the others, opposite each other on the dining table. And what I tend to do with this piece. Oh, and then I added the pussy willow also. But what I do generally is I send a little bouquet home with my dinner guests. So I basically deconstruct the whole thing, and I'll put this in like a mason jar or something and send it home. So everybody takes a little bit of flowers home with them. So that's kind of unconventional because like I said, I felt bad cutting down the tall stems of especially the delphinium, but I did it with the pussy willow too. But I'm getting the prettiest parts, the really shiny pewter catkins kind of at eye level. So that's the first one I did. And I guess I would ask you this. Several of the irises are still in bud, and it's okay to just have them in here because they're going to just open over time. If, say, my dinner party's tomorrow, I'll have a different looking arrangement.
Mm-hmm. That's lovely.
Good. Okay. Well, thanks. I'm glad that you like that and approve of it.
What's also nice about that, Deborah, is that the ones that are very open now will get tired looking. So you can just pull that out, and then the other one's on the way. So you have sort of continuous.
Well, as you said, there were probably 10, altogether 10 stems. And so distributed across the four glasses, the four little glasses, there's, 2 to 3 in each. So this was a little bit of a challenge. This is a vase that a lot of people will recognize. It's a vintage vase. I don't know its age, but I bought it at a flea market. It's got 2 little handles on the side, and it was on the cover of my book, Slow Flowers, which came out 9 years ago. So I've had it for a while. It's a great vase for spring because it has that, fresh green growth. But I was looking at what you sent me, and this Amy really caught my eye because even though it's white, it reads as, like a lime green. And I should have cleaned it the way you described. I have cleaned it since. So, now this is the bloom, and the stem is clean, but it's got so much whimsy to it that it reads almost the same as the glaze. I also started breaking down the foxglove because foxglove gets a little bit tired in shipping too, but the tips are so beautiful. So I've let me find my clippers. I've removed, the lower part. And then you would recommend just trimming off all of this, right?
I would, yes.
Yeah, all the little flowers or florets. And then this can be kind of a textural element in the arrangement. And I just have a hairpin frog in here. So as I mentioned, the anemones were stunning. And I just thought that the color of the anemones would pick up on the pink of the, even though the foxglove is not, you don't see into all of the blooms, you can definitely enjoy that blush of pink. So these are the anemones that everyone wants with the dark centers. Okay, so I was telling you beforehand that I really wanted to put some more lime in this. So I'm going to go, before I photograph this and share it on social media, I'm going to go cut some lady's mantle from my garden and add some lime green to this. So I'll keep working on this, but I really am liking the direction it's going. I'm really liking the pink from both the foxglove and from the anemones. And that the hairpin frog really allows those anemones to kind of stand up and dance a little bit above the vase. And the last thing I was going to do is, because you said your box came with so much filler material, I ended up getting a lot of graphic line flowers. So I have this wonderful vase made by a local artist here in Seattle named Kristen Nelson, Veet Ceramics. A lot of people have seen me use her vases in other ways, and her bud vases are our favorite popular speaker gift for the Slow Flowers Summit speakers. So I love it's the pinstripe white line that I love. So I thought this would be a perfect vase with this flare to show off the architecture of the kangaroo paw. And then I was going to add a few more things. The sunflowers that you sent are really terrific. I mean, I love the size of them, and I love the stage that they're at. They did come in obviously a little bit more closed, but in this case, would you recommend I take all this foliage off here?
I would.
Yeah. Some of it is starting to brown a little bit. It's not affecting the flower at all. But yeah, so then I want to just have kind of a bold yellow, golden yellow appearance here. And the branches of the kangaroo paw are going to help hold that up. It's interesting. There's a mix of light and dark centers that came in. Maybe this was I just got lucky. I don't know.
Sunflowers are something that people would want to order probably at least 2, if not 3 days before they're planning on presenting them, because sometimes they come quite closed.
And then they really do open after once cut. It's just that they've been closed probably so that they don't shatter or anything like that in shipping. Right. All right. I'm going to just wrap this up here. I'm having so much fun. This is like my Friday therapy session with you, Michaela. What are you seeing on the horizon in terms of what there's like new demand for this year? Maybe something that surprised you, that maybe a flower that's sort of back in fashion or catching people's attention that wasn't as popular in the last few years.
Well, this kind of whole focus on greenery is really, we will have people order 80, 100 bunches of greenery in an order of 4 or 5 different kinds. Yeah.
Wow. For an event or?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow. I wonder if I could get the Godetia in here. It's such an unusual flower. It needs a lot of cleaning up on the stem. But I like a little bit of the foliage at the top.
Yes.
But I was thinking that this particular flower could kind of be my collar, and I could have it closer to the rim of the vase, picking up a little bit of the red. It's sort of an unusual color. I don't even know. It's like almost like a coral, but there's a reddish, tinge. Oh, now here's one that's not open at all. So we'll see if that opens over time. And if not, it's such an interesting shape to it. Just adds some cool texture that kind of goes with the kangaroo paw texture. I think I've managed to use everything you sent. And so I feel like I get an A+. Back to my comment about not wanting to waste anything. I just think these are so beautiful, and I've never tried to grow them. And sometimes it's best to leave that growing to the experts. Thank you for playing with flowers with me, Michaela. It's really been a fun way to showcase you as a resource. And now that people know that you're the friendly voice at the end of the email, then you might get some more emails.
Oh, it's always fun to meet people, and it's just an adventure, I open my email every day and I just don't know what's going to be in there. And it's really a delight to help people.
It's a creative process for you to try to troubleshoot, I'm sure, and find substitutions or find solutions. So I'm glad I can tell you love what you do. You were going to share a few more ideas on how people can plan ahead and take advantage of the database of when they're ordering, or
sure.
Can't remember what we're going to talk about.
I think one thing that's important to consider, some people, they want their flowers to be fresh. So sometimes they'll think it's a good idea to pick a delivery date that's as very close as possible to their, whenever either they're having people come over or the event, and I definitely discourage people from doing that, because it depends on the time of the year, but always I say, if you're having something on the weekend, that Thursday should be the latest delivery date in the week that you pick, for a few reasons. One, like you're seeing with the iris, not everything is sort of show ready when it arrives. Yep. And the farms do that because to keep them beautiful in transport, if a lily's wide open like this and then it gets squished in a box to be sent, it's going to be all damaged. So they both need time to open. And also, while 97% of things deliver exactly on time, occasionally there's a weather issue or something. So the last thing you want to do is order your flowers on the day you need them, and then there's a delay that's beyond anyone's human control, and then you have no flowers for your event.
That is probably the best lesson to share, is that I build in at least a 24-hour cushion because if something is lost, then you're still able to solve that problem. And
correct.
That's great. Yeah. That's excellent. Yeah. Wow. Well, I've had so much fun with this. The takeaway is, this flowers are at your fingertips. Just get on your keyboard, and the fact that you can search flowerfarm.com is for what matters most to me, which is finding U.S. grown flowers. I really appreciate that as a service to the profession.
Oh, great. Yeah, it was nice to spend the afternoon with you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Michaela. I want you to make something with all those flowers around you, though, and send me a photo
I will.
when you get to the weekend.
All right,
okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Take care. Bye, everybody at Slow Flowers.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You can watch the replay video of this show that we'll share at slowflowerspodcast.com for episode 560, and find links and more resources to set up your own buyer's account with flowerfarm.com. As you heard Michaela mention a few times, she is the helpful expert at the other end of any email you send. So be sure to say hello to her when you reach out and let her know you heard this podcast. Michaela really wants to make your buying experience a positive one, and she has amazing contacts with all of the large U.S. growers who fulfill their orders. Our next thanks goes to Johnny's Selected Seeds, an employee-owned company that provides our industry with the best flower, herb, and vegetable seeds, supplied to farms large and small, and even to backyard cutting gardens like mine. Find the full catalog of flower seeds and bulbs at johnnysseeds.com. Well, it's June 1st. Wow, I can't believe how much the year has raced by through the first 5 months. There have been highs and lows, too many lows in our lives. In response to the public health epidemic of gun violence, I want to invite you to participate in a special Spread Love, Not Violence campaign that Slow Flower Society is supporting. Two of our members, member florist in Seattle, Ann Bradfield of Analog Floral, and Tammy Myers of First and Bloom, both past guests of this podcast, are donating 10% of all proceeds from their floral businesses to everytown.org, an organization that works to end gun violence. This will happen between May 31st and June 3rd, leading up to the National Gun Violence Awareness Day on June 3rd, this Friday. We were compelled to stand alongside them in this small but significant effort. Slow Flowers will match their funds raised to support Everytown. If you're a Slow Flowers member who wants to participate or plan a similar campaign to raise funds for Everytown, either this week or in the near future, please reach out to us and we'll pledge to match your donations too, up to $1,000. Let's spread flowers, not violence. Our final thank you goes to the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, a farmer-owned cooperative committed to providing the very best the Pacific Northwest has to offer in cut flowers, foliage, and plants. The Growers Market's mission is to foster a vibrant marketplace that sustains local flower farms and provides top-quality products and services to the local floral industry. Visit them at seattlewholesalegrowersmarket.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. The Slow Flowers podcast is a member-supported endeavor, downloaded more than 853,000 times by listeners like you. Thank you for listening, commenting, and sharing. It means so much. As our movement gains more supporters and more passionate participants who believe in the importance of our domestic cut flower industry, the momentum is contagious. I know you feel it too. If you're new to our weekly show and our long-running podcast, check out all of our resources at slowflowersociety.com. And consider making a donation to sustain Slow Flowers' ongoing advocacy, education, and outreach activities. You can find the donate button at slowflowerspodcast.com. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of The Slow Flowers Show and The Slow Flowers Podcast. The Slow Flowers Podcast is engineered and edited by Andrew Brenlin. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more slow flowers on the table, one stem, one vase at a time. I'll see you then.